Hi, this is DCS, Digital Combat Simulator, and we are going to do a carrier cold start with the F-18C Hornet. Push F2 on the keyboard to jump to external view. Push left shift and F10 to remove the labels. Push left control and pause brake to bring up frames per second. Push F1 on the keyboard to jump into the internal view. Now push left Alt and C on the keyboard. And you can look around. We need to start by looking down here and finding the battery. To push left Alt and C on the keyboard again, and you have a clickable cockpit. Right click on the battery, and the battery switch will turn on. We're going to go up to here, and we're going to click next to where it says open to close the canopy. We're clicking in this space here. Left click the mouse button, hold it down, and the canopy will close. Once it's closed, release the mouse button. Once we've done that, we're going to just turn on some of the internal lighting. We've got three switches here: consoles, inst, and flood. So we're going to just left click on the left mouse button, move the mouse upwards, and then let go of the left mouse button. Do that with all three of these. This is the ejection seat handle. Just left click on that. Go over to the left side, and we'll get the APU started. The APU switch, we're just right clicking on it. While we're waiting for this green light to come on, we're going to do some other things. At the back here is OBOGS. Left click on that button to turn it on. Go over to here. We're going to set the flaps switch to half. We're just right clicking on it once. We'll also turn off the parking brake by left clicking once here. While we're still got it near view, there's two buttons here, position and formation. This is for the external lighting. Left clicking the left mouse button, turning it all the way around. Left clicking with the left mouse button and turning it all the way around. Now we've got the green light on, but just before we do anything else, I'm going to push the right Alt button and home. I'm going to push the right shift button and home. That will move the throttle upwards. And we'll turn on all these displays. We've got one up here, which is going to be switched to day. So we just right click on this switch twice. Go over to this one, and we right click on this switch twice. We go down to here. This is for the map. We left click on this button here, and we move the mouse up, let go. This button here is for the overhead HUD. So we're just going to left click on this, move the mouse button up, and let go. Now let's get this engine cranked. Here's the engine crank. We'll do the left first, so we're just left clicking with the left mouse button. And what you do is you have a look over here, and you'll see these numbers start turning around. Now because we've moved the throttle up already, it'll eventually settle at around about 300. You'll also know it's finished because this button will flick back into the center. Once it has, we can right click on it and we can do the right side. Now we'll just look up here while we're waiting. We've got the master caution button. You can push N on the keyboard to remove that, or you can just left click on it. You'll know the plane has started up once we start getting these displays, and here we are, we've got the first display. We'll just left click on menu and we'll go to FCS, and you'll see there's a bunch of X's everywhere here. To remove those X's, we go down to here and we click on the reset button. Just left click on it, go back up to here, and you'll notice all the X's are gone. Okay, so now we're going to do the right side, so we're just right clicking on this button here and go back to here and we can have a look. We can see the numbers are starting to turn, and you can see that the left side temperature 331, and that will happen similarly to the right now. You can left click on the T. Now, we haven't hooked up with the launch bar, but once we get close, this is where we do it. And we just right click on it once to extend the launch bar. But the first thing we need to do is unfold these wings. Now, you might have it set to something else, but I have it set to left control and 9 on the keyboard. So we'll just fold the wings back out. Now, the other thing you need to do is, if you have a look at your plane from the external view, you'll notice that there's wheel chocks. Well, you want to push left Alt and comma. So left Alt and comma, which is next to the enter button on the keyboard. We can do some changes. I'm going to remove the payload. I'm going to remove the payload and the pylon. Remove payload and pylon. Remove payload. Remove payload. Remove payload. Remove payload and pylon. Remove payload. Remove pylon. Remove payload. So we have an empty aircraft. We're going to get rid of all flares, get rid of all chaff, and get rid of all gun ammo. We'll leave the fuel at about 80%. And that will be the changes there. Just click OK. While it's doing that, we can push the slash, which is above the enter button on the keyboard, from the top left down to the bottom right. We'll bring up this menu, the ground crew. Push F8, push F5 for ground air supply, and then push F2 to disconnect.
Disconnect ground air supply. Copy.
Also push F8. And we'll remove the wheel chocks with F4 and F2.
Chief, remove the wheel chocks. Copy. Refueling complete.
Check everything is working.
Chief, remove the wheel chocks. Ground air supply is now disconnected.
So
Copy.
wheel chocks are gone, the air supply is gone, and all the pylons are gone. And that is all there is to that process. So now we've got to wheel ourselves over to the launch, which is to our right. We can either use those two or we can use these two. We'll use the ones which are closest, but we're going to make a very sharp turn. So if we have a look over here, we've got NWS. Push A on the keyboard, gets rid of nose wheel steering. Push S on the keyboard, brings up nose wheel steering. Push S again on the keyboard and goes to nose wheel steering high. That's what we want because we're going to make quite a sharp turn. So we're going to bring up the throttle just very gently. Now if you need to brake, you can push W on the keyboard, and to steer, you're using Z and X on the keyboard. Only bring up the throttle very incrementally and slowly. Okay, so we're pretty close. We'll have a little look at where we are.
Infield 1-1. Before takeoff.
And we'll do the final lineup. We need to get a little bit closer than this. And then we can go back into the cockpit and put out the launch bar. That's probably about right. We'll give it a go. We'll push F1 on the keyboard. And we'll push Alt-C. We'll go down and we'll extend our launch bar. Now you can test it by pushing U on the keyboard. And the plane will hook up. The blast doors will go up, which protects the jet behind us. And we are ready to launch. Now, to take off, all we need to do is put the throttle to full. Just throttle to full. We'll just check our screens. We'll put one to engine. And we'll put our other one to the HUD. So we just put the throttle to full. Now, as soon as we're in the air, we're pushing G on the keyboard to bring up the gear. And we can also then very gently pull back on the stick. Get ready. And let's launch. Putting the throttle to full. Gears are up. And we are away from the aircraft carrier. I hope you found that video helpful. Feel free to subscribe. And thank you for watching. Have a great day.